Oh my goodness, we are back in session, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Designing the Best You. And we are starting off 2025 a bit late here on Designing the Best You because we had a much needed break. I actually had a death in my family, cancer, so I needed to grieve the process, guys. And I think it's really important to do that, whether you're grieving a job loss, you're grieving a person, you're grieving your old self. It's really important to do that. So I just wanted to share that because you're probably like, we missed like 8 episodes from the last couple of months. Yes, we have, but don't worry because we have a ton lined up for you for the next few months here. They're going to be a little bit shorter and sweeter, just so you can get things to the point and get some action items done. Okay. But before we get started on today's topic, what we're going to do is I want to make sure that you head to the show notes. The show notes are so incredibly important because it has availability to, or it gives you access to my calendar link so you can schedule a free call with me. It gives you some of the downloadables that I have offering at that time. And you get to connect with me on other places such as YouTube and LinkedIn and just binge watch all the stuff that I have going on and binge listen to all the things that I have. So go ahead and do that. Sign up for the weekly newsletter too. That's going to be really important. It's coming out every week with, again, more stuff, links to these episodes, all the goodies. Okay. Everything health and job search. So we are in 2025. We have a new president who is doing some wild, crazy, awesome, whatever you feel things going on. We're on the up and up for the job market. There's a lot more jobs that are available. We've also lost we've had a lot of layoffs in this first quarter so far, first 3 months between December and the end of February. And it's crazy. And I know a lot of you guys are like, I have no idea what's going on. We have AI going on. We've got the new market. We've got the new presidents. We've got all these things. What's up? What's down? And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the depression that a lot of you guys experience in the job search. Okay. Right. What is a person in a new job market going to do? Right. And I say in a new job market, meaning you've just been laid off, or you're like, I need to get out of here. I'm in a not so good work environment. I've tried all the things and whatnot. Where do I start? I am going to tell you, there is no specific book process out there. There's no and for all you out there, there's no standard operating procedure as to what a person's supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it first, second, third, how often they're supposed to do it, all of that. I have a very well proven process that I go through with clients. So if you're interested in that, please get on a free call with me to see if we're a good fit. But so many of you, when you get started, you've got all these rejections. You've got application after application after application. You upload it and then you have to re-enter it in, and it's parsed all goofy. You immediately get a rejection. You get rejections at weird times of the day and night. Like it's odd, right? Or you don't hear anything and you get ghosted. Okay. So many different things. And you're like, what do I do? Like, I'm waiting for calls. It's like when you're waiting for test results from something, whether it's like a health result or whatever it is, you're like, oh my goodness, when. You wait for your phone and you're like, when is it going to ding? When is it going to ding? And it's stressful. And it's even, and I'm going to start crying here and I'm going to try not to, but it's even more stressful when you were the sole income for your family. Like, and I'm crying because, or I'm starting to cry here and get all teary eyed because that happened to our family last year because my husband was the sole provider. Yes, I have my business and that does that, but that also funds other things. And it's hard because you're like, what in the world do I do? What do I do? What is my family to do? Right. And, your savings are dwindling, bills are piling up, credit cards are maxed, and all this is compounding stress on you and your family. Then you might have, an experience like I had where you had a death in the family, or you don't have family around, or I just had a recent client, he actually got laid off and then his fiance said, I'm done. I mean, you have so many different situations. Maybe you've got a health issue then with a child or something like that. And so it becomes quite a stressful situation, right? Every day is passing, feeling more and more hopeless, right? And it's such a vicious cycle. It's this whole chicken and the egg thing. And the worse you feel, the harder the search is. Then you add in all the sleep issues and the anxiety and all the things that you guys know about. Okay. That depression starts to set in. And you're like, why me? I'm doing all the things I know to do that all the experts are telling me to do. And if left unattended, this depression, it gets really serious and it leads to negative consequences, right? There's massive health issues. There's issues with relationships. I mean, you guys know you can Google all the, stuff for that. But I want to talk about some of the symptoms that you might see, whether it's in yourself or whether it's in a family member or a friend, so that you're able to help or at least send this episode to one of your family members or your spouse or kids or something like that and say, hey, like, am I going through this right now? Do you see this? Okay. So, symptoms of the job search depression, okay, include there's ends up being a lack of motivation to apply for new jobs. You might have applied to, and I see this all over LinkedIn, and it makes me cringe every time. I've applied to over 250 roles and I'm not getting any, and all this stuff, right? And so when it gets to a point in we'll call it the grieving process, after you lose a job, right? You get all upset, you get angry, you get all this stuff. And then you get this like kick of motivation. And that's when you're like, I'm applying, I'm doing all the things, I'm getting my resume updated, I'm updating my LinkedIn, I'm connecting with people, all this stuff. And then that motivation just all of a sudden dwindles. Okay. Attending interviews feels like a waste of time because everyone you've attended, you put your all into, and then you're told you're the best candidate or you're a great candidate for the role, and then nothing, right? And then all you might have got maybe 5 or 6 interviews and then nothing, right? And you're like, what's going on? So, you feel defeated. You feel worthless because all you've been receiving, are rejections or getting ghosted. So if you're constantly worrying about the future, you're feeling fatigued, you're getting like achy in your body, you're losing sleep, or you could be losing sleep, or you could be sleeping too much. You could be doing, Netflix binges, you start becoming socially withdrawn, your talk starts to slow, and you're kind of like, whatever, maybe you're on your phone and you're just kind of scrolling, right? That whole doom scrolling thing. You start losing interest in things that you used to love. Like, for example, I've been playing piano for 35 years. And when I was going through depression after pregnancies, after my husband's job loss, after all that, there's so many different things. I didn't want to play. And to be honest, that was actually the thing I needed to do. And I've learned that over the years. Another symptom is you start ruminating on negative thoughts, right? You constantly think about the same thing over and over and over. And it's like you can't get thrown off the hamster wheel. Like you want to get thrown off, but you can't. And it may be time to talk to someone. Sometimes it's a good thing to find a close friend who you can trust or find a therapist, something like that. But these are some of and these are like high level depression symptoms that you want to take a look at and see. Just losing those interests. You're not wanting to go outside. Here in Northern Colorado, it's 60 some degrees today, and it's the end of winter, and we're like, what's going on? It should still be cooler. And if you're not wanting to go outside in that, then something's not right. Okay. So, I know that the constant rejection takes a toll. It really does. Unfortunately, it is a vicious cycle. Okay. Interviews, they want to hire someone who's upbeat and positive and enthusiastic, right? We all want that type of person. And in reality, we have to understand that the people that we're interviewing have gone through the ringer, right? The interviewer also wants someone who's likable and it comes across as a winner. And so that problem is that the constant dealing with rejection of the candidates that's looking for a job, what happens? It's hard to come across as confident. You're like, yes, you know what? You're my like 100th interview And I know, and I've been rejected the last 99 times, and you're going to be the one this time. Right? You're like, that's hard. It's so hard. And it's totally understandable after being ghosted so many times. It's hard to summon the strength to just keep going. I mean, I even know if you're a parent, if you're a stay-at-home parent, you run a business or anything like that, it's hard to keep going just with basic life stuff, let alone adding to a job search in a market that is different. I'm not going to say it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easier. It's different than what we've experienced before. And so we have to be adaptable and be able to shift a little bit. Okay. And it's hard too because the hiring manager, when they're in the interview with you, or even the recruiter, when they're walking through that initial process with you, if you decide to work with the recruiter, they're going to pick up on your negative vibes. So I've even told people do jumping jacks, like bounce on a trampoline, something, blast your favorite music and sing at the top of your lungs before you get on an interview, because that'll get you some energy, some positive vibes to be able to expel to the interviewer. Okay. And there's so many applicants that are applying to these jobs, even, and this is another thing too, is on the other end of it, the interviewers and the recruiters and the hiring managers, they're exhausted too, and they're going through the job search depression as well. So this isn't just for candidates, guys. This is for the other side as well, because they're getting hundreds, if not thousands, of applications to one role, and they have to choose certain people. Can you imagine doing that? That's tough. I've been on that, and it's tough, guys. You don't know, you can't see the whole person from a resume or a LinkedIn profile. So, anyways, and if they don't see that, they don't see a good person in the interview, in the resume and the LinkedIn profile, they're going to just move on, even though you actually might be the best candidate. Okay. So job search depression, not only is it real, but it's hard to deal with, right? And it's hard to handle rejection. I don't think any one person is like, yes, rejection. I'll give a short example. Last weekend, we were serving at one of the local grocery stores through a serving agency and doing a food drive. And our sons were with us, and we're like, hey, hand out the little sheets for people to go shopping. And then they should come back out with some stuff, even just one canned food or a bag of rice helps, right? And our middle son, he wanted to be accepted like right away, as we all do. We were like, you're going to do this, you're going to buy the whole thing, right? And he went and handed it to someone, and he just went like, no, no. And he came back crying. And it's a learning lesson. We do the same thing as a child that we've done, and we do it throughout our whole life. We want that first yes, right? When we're in sales, we want someone to say yes to that first deal. When we're running our own business, we want to make an offer and that person going to accept it immediately. We have to garner trust with the other person. And if we're not confident in who we are, who God's created us to be, and our capabilities and our experience and all that stuff, it's going to come off to the other person like, I can't trust you. And so it's really hard to manage sometimes. And job search depression happens when you have a job itself and you're trying to find a new one, right? Maybe you're stuck in the same role at work all the time and no one's giving you a chance. And so it's hard to make it through the day, or you're fighting for a promotion and someone else comes along who's been there less amount of time and has less experience than you do. And you're like, well, now what? So what can you do right now? Well, first of all, I want you to know you're not alone. There's thousands of other people out there. I'm not saying it's right, but you're not alone. You're not the first person who has gone through this, and you're not going to be the last. Almost anyone in the workforce, okay, has been there for any amount of time, has been rejected for a role, lost to an office rival, for a lucrative promotion, or ghosted after a long series of interviews, okay? Even the most successful people up at the C-suites, I'm serious, talk to them, still deal with bouts of doubt and losing streaks. Okay, so you're not alone. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to get in your head. It's like, you're not alone in this. And if other people have overcome it and gotten a job or gotten that next promotion, guess what? You can too. I mean, think about the Great Depression. Think about, right, 2007, 2008, what happened there, guys? Right? Think about all the stuff, COVID, we've overcome that. right? People started getting jobs again and all those things, right? We've gotten through things and you can keep getting through, okay? But here's the thing, if I want you to recognize something you can do now as well. If your actions aren't working, you got to try something different, right? What's the definition of insanity? So if you're applying to all these jobs and you're tweaking your resume and things like that and that's not working, what else do you have to do? And if you're like, I don't know what else to do, I recommend consulting with a career coach, a mentor, a recruiter to get their respective opinions. Ask them for their honest evaluation, guys. This is what they do. They review this stuff all the time. I'm telling you, you should see how many resumes and applications I have come across my desk, emails, you name it. Okay. Process what they have to say. Okay. Just right. It's black, white, it's data, it's information, right? Process it and put it in actions, right? In action, right? What I like to do is I also like to, if someone's working with me, yes, I evaluate their resume and their LinkedIn profile and their approach, their strategy, what's been working, what hasn't been working, what did they want to try and haven't yet, and what's holding them back, what are their fears, things like that. But what I also like to do, especially if someone mentions that they're depressed or they're down or they're just lacking confidence because they've been shut down over and over, is I like to evaluate people's mineral levels. We're all about like the latest vitamin trends and supplements and all that stuff. But here's the deal is when we are stressed, there are certain minerals that become extremely depleted because they start stealing from other ones. They're nasty little guys. They steal from each other. And it makes us feel even worse. It actually adds to that lack of motivation I was talking about earlier. Okay. And so this process it's a simple, non-invasive, cheap, and I'm telling you, it's probably the cheapest test you'll ever get out there, um, to get yourself feeling better as you go through the process. And it's really cool to see people uncover these things and like, oh, I was eating this or drinking this or using this type of product or not doing this or that. And that was adding to the depletion. And oh, I'm not getting morning sunlight and whatever it is. Okay. And each person is different in this process. So that's why I say test, don't guess. Don't just follow whatever big podcast guru says or whoever on whatever program or social media platform says. Okay, test, don't guess. All right. And here's another thing you can do right now outside of getting help from a career coach, updating your resume and LinkedIn profile and things like that. But you hear this so much is cultivate a network of people who can help you find people at the companies you're interested in, whether they have a position open or not. Okay. Take a hard look at your social media footprint, see if things are lining up. When someone Google your own name, I'm telling you, Google your own name and see what comes up first. Okay. On the first page, you should definitely, the first thing should be your LinkedIn profile. I don't want to see Facebook. I don't want to see TikTok. I don't want to see any of that type of stuff. Like your name should come up there. And if it doesn't, you need to call me. Okay. Because we're going to get that fixed because you don't want people sifting through that stuff. They'll get worn down in less than 2 minutes trying to figure out who you are. Right. Okay. Prepare an elevator pitch, right? When you're going out somewhere and someone's like, oh, what do you do? Make it quick and be able to sell yourself. And people hate that word, but be able to sell yourself seriously in that quick couple minutes. Role play. You guys, you can get on a power hour with me. And for a very small amount of investment, you can sit there for an hour and say, Vanessa, I need to practice my interviewing skills. I have been told XYZ and I need to improve because I feel that that's what's holding me back from getting to the next step. Right? When you're interviewing, ask, do you have any questions for me? Be ready for them when they ask you that question. Have questions ready for them, right? And then one of the last things is I know this is hard. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this over and over all the years, okay? Stop dwelling on the past. Okay? Shut the door on what's already happened. Grieve what happened, okay? But don't drag it out. Don't keep like peeking into that door and be like, oh, well, what if? And if I would have done, no, stop. I'm telling you, that holds you back so much. I know it held me back for many years. Okay. Start with a clean slate, replace the negative feedback loop. And if you need tools on that, let me know. Okay. And start thinking about the good things that you add to a company. Okay, think about the good things you add to people and relationships. What have you learned or read or experienced that can add value to a company? That's what's going to make you stand out. Okay. And slowly but surely, you're going to regain your confidence. You're going to have a little skip in your step. We're going to fix your minerals, all that type of stuff, and you're going to be able to land that job. Okay. But it's only going to be a matter of time if you put the effort in. Okay. And so often we think that's, a doctor or a career consultant or health coach or whatever it is, they're going to fix our problems for us. They're guides. Like myself, I'm a guide. I'm going to challenge you, right? The trainer at the gym is going to be like, you can do for 5 more pounds, right? Let's put that 5 more pounds on there. I'm going to sit on you while you do squats, right? I'm going to challenge you, but they can't do it for you. That healing, that grieving, that moving on starts from inside of you. Okay. And if you decide to work with me, there is a step-by-step process I go through. Okay. But if you're not ready for that, like I said earlier, binge on my stuff, connect with me on LinkedIn, read the posts, comment on them. Okay. Share them, things like that. And start to, start to tell yourself like, hey, I get to take charge of how I'm responding to things in my mind, how I feel. Okay. And when we start changing that, we ultimately change the trajectory of our career and our lives. Okay. When we overcome the hidden roadblocks, such as depression, we face each day differently. Okay. So I'm here to strengthen you. I'm here to set you on the path to do all you were called to do. Okay. With the right mental, emotional, physical, and strategic health. Okay. So until next time, let's keep on designing the best you.